Oh man, I hate Mondays.
Nah, man, it's Tuesday.
Wait. What day is it?
You know what day it is? Tuesday. Brewsday, Tuesday.
Oh, fuck yeah. It's time for Brewsday Tuesday, brought to you by the Cellar and Six Pack Store. Here's DreZ and Big Nate.
Boom, boom, boom. Brewsday Tuesday. Indeed, brought to you by the Cellar Restaurant and Six Pack Store in downtown Blacksburg. Back in the Bear Studio.
We
where
missed you.
where it belongs. The beer is flowing, and I got a lot of beer to flow from the trip, man. I got a lot of it.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I was living vicariously through you, and now I get to share in the spoils.
Yeah, now you get to enjoy the fruits of the labor of the trip. But I wanted to start. I mean, jokingly, I know I said alphabetical order, but just because these beers are burning a hole in my fridge, because if I don't bring them
Yeah.
to do on the show, they're just gonna get drank. Because knowing that this stuff is sitting there is a bit difficult for me. So yes, we went to the Alchemist. That was one of the spots that I was most excited to go try and hit brewery wise. So they got their staples, but I basically got a 4-pack of everything that they had to go. And these two pair nicely together because they are similar in styles. I have the Farmer's Daughter, which is a Belgian style saison, coming in at 7%. This one on the back does read that this saison is brewed with Saaz hops, Pilsner malt, and saison yeast. It is an intentional nod to the traditional saisons with a distinct alchemist character. This beer has been can conditioned and contains a layer of yeast at the bottom that must be allowed to settle before consumption. Pour slowly and gently, making sure to leave the sediment behind. So it even gives you an idea, a little tutorial and instructions on how to pour this beer properly.
So
I thought was key because I wanted to make sure that was noted before we start pouring.
and of course, I'm the type of person who doesn't read the instruction manual and just kind of starts doing what he's doing. And if you'll notice on the video, I had my can sideways, so my yeast may have moved. That's okay. I've got the Zummer beer. It's their summer saison, 6.6% ABV, and this summer saison is brewed with Pilsner malt, French strisel spalt hops. Say that 5 times fast. And of course, saison yeast. The firm bitterness is uplifted by a dry mosaic hop. And of course, also been can conditioned and contains a layer of yeast at the bottom, which I hope I didn't disturb too much, but we'll pour slowly, see what's going on. Very excited about some Alchemist brews, though.
Yeah, so they had quite a few different styles and stuff, but one of the main things that was cool about Alchemist was it's the only place that you can get a hand pour of any Alchemist beer, and the only one that they have is the Heady Topper. And it's funny because it's not just your typical draft; it's like a pump, old school kind of like a pump draft sort of system dealy, and it tastes vastly different than their canned Heady Topper that I'm used to drinking. Like it was noticeably smoother. I don't know what sort of, maybe I should have asked more about what the actual draft system and process is that they're using there, because it's not your usual. It almost felt more like a nitro kind of style, like with how smooth that Heady Topper was, hand drawn.
See, I've never had Heady Topper, and that's kind of one of the bucket list, something I would like to try, but I'll settle for a can any day.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. I mean, you're not going to sneeze at that.
Is such a legend, though. So excited to finally get something in my system.
So, but they obviously they have they got their IPAs. These are some saisons. They had some stouts and whatnot. So I actually did do a tour. So they allow 12 people to tour it each day, and I think we went on like a Wednesday or something. So they only do one tour, 4 o'clock every day of the week. And then I think on maybe Saturdays or Sundays. There's one other day that I think they do a second tour, like probably on the weekends, one of the more popular ones. So I went to get the tickets online because I saw that Huck was actually there a little bit before us. And somebody had commented saying, "Hey, did you do the tour?" And he said, "No, we couldn't." So I was like, "Oh, well, let me see if we can get these tickets." There was one tour ticket available left. That means, well, sorry, BB, but I guess that falls to me. So I bought that ticket, and I was kind of hoping. I figured, there's a chance that, maybe she could squeeze in.
Yeah.
And actually, it turned out because we did ask when we were checking in. I asked if I explained, is there a way that she could hop in it as well? And they actually ended up saying yes, but she, this was during the day, and so she was actually like working and realized she had a lot of work to do. She was like, "You just go ahead, and I'll sit back and do it," because she probably been distracted. Plus, I mean, you had to pay for the tour. You do get a little taste of beer while you're doing it, and you got a beer at the end and a glass that I unfortunately forgot to bring in because I wanted to pour obviously this beer into the Alchemist glass that I got a little souvenir. But so it wasn't too bad when you add it. It was like $25 and you get a tasting, a full can of beer of your choosing.
Oh,
Which, yes, I chose the most expensive, nice one. I don't know why anybody else would do otherwise, but
you've got to.
and one of the things that was really good about that was a beer, and they said you can drink it here or take it to go. That was a beer that they didn't offer to go. So I was able to sneak away with a beer that I guess in theory, you're not allowed to do that with or whatever. So
you bought the ticket, you took the ride.
exactly.
I'm taking this on the road.
So when you add in the fact that I got, and that was like a $12 beer in itself. So you add that in, and then I got the tasting on the tour and the glass. And you factor it all in, it's
worth $25.
Yeah, I'd say it was worth $25 for sure.
It was. I mean, I was going to ask you that, but you kind of went ahead with it. Is I remember when we went down to my most recent trip. It was the New Belgium brewery down in North Carolina, and I remember my mind was blown. Like, they do a free tour, you don't pay for it, but you still get one tasting.
That's
I'm like,
fantastic.
what? You're just giving it away, basically. I'm just going to be here every day at like noon, and as soon as you open it, that's how
Yeah,
we're starting the day.
But they know what they're doing. I mean, how much was involved with the tasting?
I mean, you basically got like a 4-ounce pour of
Okay.
beer. If you paid for their tour, I think it was like $15. You got 3 tastings, and they weren't 4-ounce pours; they were like 8-ounce pours.
Yeah,
You didn't leave with a glass or anything like that.
I would take the free one then on that regard. Either way, though,
if I'm there, I'm already gonna drink beer. Anyway.
Exactly. That's why it's like if you're going to do the tour, it's free. They're going to give you a little taste. I mean, but because that does help with the tour.
Yeah.
Like you almost need to be drinking the beer when they're talking about it, so you can kind of pick up
Exactly.
the notes of whatever they're discussing, whatever. The big takeaway for the tour for me that I thought was pretty interesting, and unlike anything I'd really seen in any breweries, was they actually had a room, and they kept. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Alchemist. It was very cold in there. The whole taste, like the beer room, like everything was cold. BB was like shivering. She was so cold. And then we walk into a room when we're on the tour, and all of a sudden it's much hotter, more humid. And it's because that's where they treat the water. Now, when you think that, you're like, okay, well, they're just, checking to make sure that the water is the right, whatever exact purification of whatever that they want to, brew with to make sure that it's perfect. They're treating the wash away water. They're treating the like stuff that they pull out of the vats when it's done brewing the beer.
Something they likely don't have to do, but are choosing to do.
Exactly. Like, because apparently the wash away water is really tainted with all this stuff that's harsh for, the local water. Yeah. To have to deal with. So they actually, and they don't have to do it, but he's like, look, we've even gotten all these awards from us. I'm like, I'm sure you did, because they're so the city's just so happy that you do this. So I thought that was cool. That was interesting.
No,
I've never been to a brewery that does that, especially not to that scale. I mean, it was clearly, they invested a lot of money to do that, which was pretty cool of them.
No, that's astonishing. Now, that being said, when you're in a situation like that, do you ever feel like Charlie Buckets?
Slightly. It was interesting, although it was still, I don't know, it was tough for me because, well, we got there a little early before the tour, so I did, have a beer or two, and then it was almost just overwhelming. And the other thing that was a bit of a bother was it was so loud. I mean, as you can imagine, because they were actually still. I mean, I feel like they usually choose 4 because maybe the beer guys are done doing what they're doing by that time. But I don't know if they were running behind or what. But there was like 2 guys still like doing all the whole which was cool to see, but it was very loud. And our guide was a bit of a soft talker. So each time I was like, all right, I need to stand like right next to this guy to even be able to hear what he's saying. Cause I have pretty good hearing, but with how my ears work, basically whatever is loudest is all that I get.
Can't do background noise.
Exactly. So it's like at concerts and stuff, it's so hard for me to hear people trying, like you have to yell right into my ear, which is obviously not ideal, but that's just how I am. So I basically had to come and stand next to it because I noticed it took me a couple little, we're talking here to be like, okay, I just need to stay right next to this guy. So a lot of some stuff I did miss because I couldn't pick up all that he was saying, unfortunately. But it was a nice little tour. I think it was like 40 minutes or so. I mean, they took us like all the way. I mean, it wasn't a whole lot, but I did realize that. So they got 2 locations. They're in Stowe, and then there's another one it's like Waterbury or something. And they brew like the Stowe location, I think, is where they brew the Focal Banger. And then at the Waterbury's is where they do Heady Topper. And then they do other ones, both locations. They can at both locations as well. Unfortunately, the day that we went wasn't a canning day because that would have been cool to see the canning process. Because I mean, actually, they had it like up and kind of just like the cans going through with all the different labels, but it wasn't actually doing the canning thing. But he was saying when it's up and running full tilt, they can 10 beers at a time, and when it's in full swing, I think they're canning. It's like 2 beers a second, basically, like because they'll can, until a whole batch is done. And when you do the math, it's about like 2 beers a second.
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive. That would have been cool to see in action.
I wonder if that's got to be an overnight operation. If you've got soft talkers guiding your tour,
I think. Well, the tour is only 4 o'clock, so it's.
Oh, that's right.
So,
they only do it.
So they
once a
can
day.
do it all
So,
throughout the day.
probably.
Yeah. It's the end of the day.
All right.
So, but yeah, so I didn't get to see any of the canning process, but it looked like that would have been cool. I guess go on a Tuesday or Thursday, I think is when they can. So that might, if you wanted to try and catch that. But they had a cool little spot, man. I mean, there was like a huge grassy area out there, and they had they had a lot of merch. None of the t-shirts really wowed me, which I'm a big t-shirt guy. I did get I should have brought it. I forgot. I didn't get it. I didn't bring it. I did get Alchemist disc golf putter. So that's cool. And I got a patch. This will go on the battle jacket.
I would say that's battle jacket material.
That's sweet. I got some stickers, gonna put these up in the Bear Studio somewhere and whatnot. Oh, and
beer,
of course. But they also had Heady cheddar. So it was cheddar cheese that's made with Heady Topper.
Nice beer cheese. Yeah.
Yes, beer cheese, which will be brought at the B3S bottle share.
All right.
The next B3S. So we'll have some Heady beer cheese, which will be cool.
Well, that's something that's nothing to sneeze at.
No doubt. But here's the thing. When I think of Alchemist, I think of Heady Topper, of course, which is arguably, pinnacle IPA, or at least that, I guess, the New England style of IPA for sure. Their Saison. See, now here's the thing: is I'm not a big Saison guy. What about you? I mean, I feel like this is more up your alley than mine.
So, to me, Saisons a lot of the time to me taste like fruitcake or banana bread. And it's something I find off-putting. I don't know if it's the wheats they're using or.
Well, I know that a lot of Belgian beers, I get the kind of banana.
And so that's kind of off-putting. So Saison's never been my style, but I mean, if we want to go ahead and untap
Yeah, might as well.
this is what it should be. It's got that crispness. It doesn't sit heavy, kind of on my palate. I mean, that banana flavor is still kind of there, but it's so like undercut by the hops hitting you right after the fact. I think it's delicious. I mean, this is a summer Saison, which I think is its own breed of animal.
Still technically summer.
Still technically summer. I'm gonna go ahead. I'll give it a 4.
4. All right. Not too terrible of a score. So that's the
Summer beer.
Summer beer from Alchemist. I got the Farmer's Daughter. Yeah, I mean, this is for what it is. Again, not my style, but I feel like this is done very well. I mean, the lacing is great there. It does have that nice bit of crispness to it. And the notes are good. So yeah, I don't know. Do Saisons usually have like the hoppiness to it?
There's
Like
no,
this? So that's I think
in
the
my
difference.
experience. Usually I think they use clove more often than they use hops.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, again, I'm not in love with it, but I'll still give it a 4.5. I think that this is still a
tasty as hell.
well-made beer, no doubt about it. So with that said, I think we need to try more of the style of beer that they are known for. So yes, you will get to have your first heady topper. I guess that means I'll be
Yeah,
drinking the Focal Banger. We'll do that next. It's Brewsday Tuesday, Alchemist edition right here on 105.3 The Bear. Stick around.